Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good.
What's your name?
Adrian.
Nice to meet you, I'm Nilly.
Hi, Nelly. Did you guys hear about the protest in Warwick that happened last weekend?
No.
At your headquarters?
No.
No? There was even the media there.
Oh, wow.
But I don't know when they're going to be having a program. Because the protest was about the two-witness rule that the Jehovah's Witnesses have. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, you know what? That's so interesting because we just had our broadcast last night, which is a program that we have once a month, and they were talking about that and kind of clarifying some of the understanding about it.
Yeah, so the reason why they had that program was because last weekend they had the protest. So I think they were sort of countering, you know, what the protesters were complaining about. I myself was raised as a witness and was molested by an elder.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Because of the two-witness rule that you guys, the policy that you guys have, a lot of child abusers are getting away scot-free. Because come on, this stuff doesn't happen with another witness around. It happens in secrecy. So this is the reason why, you know, people had that protest to like have the governing body take a second look and actually change this policy. Like in the real world, if I can use that term, people are convicted all the time without having another witness. But yet the Watchtower still demands a second witness.
Well, you know what's very interesting is that we are cooperative with the authorities.
Yeah.
And if something does happen, we always encourage people, if they need to go to the authorities and report it, then there's nothing wrong with that, you know. But within the organization, we try not to point fingers at people. So, for example, it happens a lot that someone's wrongly convicted of something, and without having more than one witness, you know, that could cause problems. So, the elders handle it as best as they can, but they are imperfect.
That's where the
men
problem
too.
is, because they're not trained to handle these situations. You may or may not know that you guys treat child abuse cases as a sin, you know, the pedophile or the act as a sin and not a crime. And that's the reason why the brothers don't get the authorities involved. You know, they handle it judicially within the organization, but they're not trained. Psychologically, they don't know how to deal with the, you know, the trauma, first of all. And they're not trained in any of these things, but yet they're the ones handling it internally. I don't know if you know this, but the first thing that elders are told to do when an accusation of child abuse is brought forward is not to call the police, but they're supposed to call their branch. And the branch then reach out to your lawyers. So to me, that's not really looking out for the interests of the abused person. It's more they're protecting themselves. I mean, why pull in the lawyers right away, right? To kind of see what's going on, analyze it, and then maybe give a recommendation of calling the police, which never happens, because just 2 years ago, in Australia, there was a big to-do with the Jehovah's Witnesses, because the Australian government did an investigation of a lot of institutions, and the Jehovah's Witnesses were one of them, and they found over 1,006 child abuse cases. Out of those, not one was ever reported to the police. And the government found the Jehovah's Witnesses to be lacking in protecting children. I brought it up because the Watchtower's policy is international. So the policy they have in Australia is the same policy they have here. And it's affecting a lot of people. I mean, including myself. And you guys are not made aware of what's going on.
We're pretty aware.
You're pretty aware?
Oh yeah, we're completely aware of what's
So you knew about what happened in Australia?
No, I mean, I don't read
That's not
every
being very, well, that's not very, I mean, that's a big deal. You guys know about what happened in Russia because of the ban. You see, the society would put something on their jw.org because it benefits them. It makes it look like their freedom of religion is being encroached upon. And look, world, you know, people hate us because we stand for God. It makes them look good. What happened in Australia would not make them look good by any stretch of the imagination, because they don't trust secular authorities, they're of the world, they're God's people, they That's why they keep the two-witness rule. And it's destroying families, it's destroying people's lives. And you guys don't see the other side of it. I mean, I'm a survivor, victim, whatever you want to call it. Third generational Jehovah's Witness. My parents are still Jehovah's Witness, but they just don't talk. And I'm not disfellowship, but they don't talk to me because I chose to walk away. So one of the biggest problems that I have with Jehovah's Witnesses is that once you become a baptized member, there is no honorable way to leave. Whether you're molested, whether you disagree with policy or a doctrine, or whatever reason, there is no honorable way to leave without being affected somehow. You lose your friends. All of my friends don't talk to me. And again, I stayed for 35 years. I served at Brooklyn Bethel. I was on the regional building committee for many years. I gave my life to this. But you guys are not told the other side. You know what I mean?
But personally, first of all, I'm sorry you went through
Thank you.
no one would wish that on anybody. And but personally for myself, the way I see how the Bible is I'm serving Jehovah, not the people that's running it.
Right.
So yes, bad things do happen, and I'm not excusing any bad behavior. But I tell myself, okay, and wrong has been done to me also by not molesting, but other things from brothers that I thought, well, I treat them like my own kid, and they turn around and because we are all imperfect, and things happen. I mean, like what you went through is not just in our religion, so to speak.
Oh, yeah,
I'm in it saying because I'm saying our religion because I'm a Jehovah's Witness. So it happens in anything, anywhere, just like the news. How now
I agree with you.
All these things are coming out. So for me personally, I'm here to serve Jehovah.
Yeah. But you know, I mean,
try not to let things that hurt me.
Yeah.
I can't say bother me because it obviously bothers us when things happen. But I try to move on. And if any time you can get, and I call it a hurdle because that's what it is in life. There are hurdles for us to go through. Just like the Bible says, there's trials, and then Jesus said there will be many trials because we serve God and we will be persecuted. So I see my trials as my persecution, and I know this is the truth, and I am going to stick to it no matter what happens to me. So I am sorry you have slowed down or have become inactive, but I truly believe that one day, because I can hear that you have a good heart, that you've been in regional, you've been in all those things. My husband and I are also involved in all those things, and Jehovah forbid if something happens and we get attacked again. We lost our home, we lost, I almost lost my husband to sickness. He was so sick one time. We lost everything. And
you said when you got attacked, what do you mean?
By Satan, the system, when we lost our home.
Oh, okay.
And I see that as an attack. And so we went from a 4-bedroom house with 2 jobs, 3 cars, down to absolutely nothing. And now we live in a 1-bedroom house. And I am happy because I will not let anything bring me down, because I learned the truth. I didn't grow up in it. I have no background saying 3 generations or however many. I went through an abandonment with my ex-husband, and I was in the world, and I saw what Jehovah can do for me. Not so much any human being, not so much my mother-in-law. She's done so much for me. She's loved me like I'm hers.
Yeah. I mean, you know, from where I stand, I would never question whatever you believe.
Right.
What you choose to believe is
Yes.
fine. But you know, ever since I faded away, I've really investigated the society, because being that I was born into this, I never ever for the 35 years turn around and look at the religion that I grew up in and my previous generations in my family have from an objective perspective. You know what I mean?
You know what's really interesting is like because I've only been in the truth for about 4 or 5 years. And so for me it was the opposite, because when I started learning the truth, I looked from an objective point of view. So I started with an objective point of view.
Okay.
But if I had never stopped and actually read the Bible for myself and studied it and set aside what opposers were saying, I would have never found Jehovah.
Right. So I think
So-
we're mixing up two things, and I have to go
yeah.
soon. But again, I'm not really talking about the Bible, but because I know the history intimately of the Jehovah's Witnesses from the conception through the years, you see a pattern of deception. Like for example, I can share so much with you guys, but I gotta go soon.
Yeah.
For example, you guys don't even know that the society is involved with stocks and bonds, right? And that they make money off of Lockheed Martin, Boeing, all that good stuff, right? That make war machines. But yet, all those years I went preaching, I'm so proud to say that we don't get involved in politics, wars, and so forth. But the society have no problem making money off of these. The society has many corporations, right? The Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of New York, Inc. is just one of many. In each state, they have many corporations, and the reason is because they own your kingdom halls. So while you guys pay rent, you guys maintain it, you guys remodel it, you guys do everything, society owns it. They own the deed. So in every state, in every part of the world, the society owns the real estate. All of those buildings they just sold in New York, over $1 billion. The society is really, really wealthy, you know. They're a multi-billion-dollar organization if you don't know this. And if you don't believe me, all you need to do is Google the Jehovah's Witnesses, and you'll see that they're in the New York Times, there were the top 50 wealthiest companies in New York at one point. I can go on and on. The point that I'm trying to tell you is that this organization is not who they tell you they are. They tell you guys to focus on the Bible and focus on preaching and all that stuff, while they're doing all these other things that are totally contrary to what you would expect them to be. Like for example, if you don't believe a word of anything I've told you so far, being that you're new, all you need to do is Google the Australian Royal Commission, because Jeffrey Jackson, your governing body, was on there and he gave testimony. If you're, you know, being that you weren't born into this, I think this would be good for you, because if you pay attention to what your own governing body member says, you will see the lies that, as a Jehovah's Witness, if I was still active, I would say, oh, it's theocratic warfare. But if you listen to how he talked to those lawyers on his testimony, you'll be like, wow, why did he say that we're not so presumptuous that we're the only true religion in the world when asked that question?
Let me stop you
Many
right
questions
there.
like that. I gotta go.
No, I just want to share one.
Yeah.
We're really here to share the message with people that are interested. And you know what's so interesting, what it says at Philippians 4:8. It says, whatever things are true, whatever things are of serious concern, whatever things are righteous, whatever things are chaste, lovable, well spoken of. And then it says, continue considering these things.
Right.
So that's what we're here for. We really want to.
But I bring truth to you guys. I bring, like, I have no reason to lie.
Yeah.
Like, remember, I was born into this. So as a Jehovah's Witness, you're taught from childhood not to lie. I'm not even a good liar. My wife, who was never a Jehovah's Witness, if I try to, you know, she'd be like, I know you're lying. That's not me. What I'm sharing with you guys is truth about your organization that you really should know about. You know? I mean, this is one thing. I can talk to you about the Bible and how they've changed scripture. I don't care about that stuff, because to a believer, you know, faith is a strong thing. You cannot convince somebody who in their deepest of hearts and mind believes something. It's next to impossible. So what I do is whenever I see you guys, it's tell you about your own organization and what's going on behind the scenes. Just yesterday, I got an email from the courts in San Diego, because I keep track of the Watchtower and they're doing what they do. The society is being fined $4,000 every day. You know why? because they do not want to, they have a database of pedophiles, headquarters. So the court in San Diego is trying to get that information because they're being sued. The society is like, no, 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 it's protected under freedom of religion, blah, 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 right? They lost. The Watchtower lost yesterday, and I got that communication. So that means that they have to pay millions of dollars, and if they still refuse to release all that information that they have, I don't know what further actions will take place. But this is hot off the press. They're going to tell you, okay? They're going to tell you to stay focused in God's kingdom and that we're in the end. Hey, listen, they've been saying we're in the end since 1894. I mean, they've made 4 or 5 predictions that you don't even know about. You probably know about 1975, maybe not, but that was the last major prediction, right, that didn't come true. You know, 1925 in Cedar Point, Ohio, they said that millions now living will never die. They're all dead and gone. Every generation, they play it up. I mean, I've seen all of your videos at the conventions. They hype it up. They make you feel like, oh my God, the world is so bad, it's falling apart. And yes, things are bad. But this is just a long history that they have of making people so...
But you did say that things are bad, so...
It's always been bad throughout history.
What hope do you have for the future then?
I'm an atheist.
Okay.
I've studied the Bible enough to know that it's not, it's just a man invented God and not the other way around.
Yeah, but again, like, what hope is there for the future? So if
we
don't have this,
then... I mean, you know, everything that we have, from the cars to airplane to modern medicine, it's because of man, not God. I mean, had it not been for man trying to help ourselves, we would still be in the dark ages. You have to agree.
But it was Jehovah that created the resources. Because he created the earth.
I have to go, and this could be an all-day discussion.
Yeah.
But she asked me whether or not No, I'm not here to argue either. But my wife and kid is waiting, and we're on our way to eat.
Okay, well,
but when I saw you, I'm like, oh, I've never seen Jehovah's Witnesses here.
So, we're here all the time.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
I didn't know. So maybe next time I'll have more time to talk.
Okay.
But again, guys, I have no reason to lie, you know?
Yeah.
We're not calling you a liar.
Yeah, we're not calling you.
No, I know, but
What
my
I'm
history
trying
is that
to-
you guys will listen to what I say and do absolutely nothing about it. Because there's a certain fear that if you do find out something that is truthful, it will like rip your world apart like it did for me.
Okay.
Right? You won't be able to handle it.
All I'm trying to say, I'm not speaking for anyone else. For me, okay, this is the truth for me, and it gives me hope. If nothing ever happens that I'm learning is ever true, I'm okay with that, because I am living a life at peace right now.
That's good.
And that's what I want.
Right.
And
But
you chose what you want.
No, yeah.
And so...
But listen to what you yourself is saying. It's the Bible that gives you hope. It's not an organization. And what I'm pointing out to you, this organization is actually far from who they claim to be. So why, if you had this knowledge, which you don't at this point, I mean, I do have spent the last 10 years researching and studying them, keeping up with the stuff that they don't tell you. But if you were to have the knowledge that I do, I'm 100% sure you would say, hey, I have my Bible and I have my God. I don't need an organization. But you're not there yet.
No,
and you'll never be unless you do your own research.
Well, it's so interesting
That's not
because
what
the
the
Bible
Bible
actually
says.
says that God's a God of order.
Yeah.
So, without order,
Trust
without
me,
an
I
organization...
grew up as a child listening to that. They use
Yeah.
the same scriptures all the time to Anyway, I gotta go, guys.
What is your
Adrian.
concern about researching after you decided you didn't want it
Well,
anymore?
you know, again, I'm an atheist, but if you believe the Bible, which you do, you'll know that Jesus simply said that he is the way, the truth, and the life. He never said that, you know, in the future there'll be an organization that you must stick with and you must consider them as if they're speaking for God. He never said that. Because throughout history, even with the Israelites, humans just mess up, okay? They always mess up. So Jesus came and did away with that stuff. I've come across so many Christians who they say the same thing you do. They're happy, they're at peace, they have a hope. So what you're saying is not unique to being a Jehovah's Witness. That's what I'm trying to tell you. But this particular organization, to me, is so bad. And I don't mean to insult you, but here's why. Last point, and I gotta go, because my wife will be so mad at me. The blood issue. The blood issue that you guys think, oh, it's minimal, it's in the Bible, blah, blah, blah. Listen, blood fractions, right? You guys are okay to have blood fractions and blood alternatives now.
It's a personal choice.
Right, and you may or not know that years ago, if you're a Jehovah's Witness, you weren't even allowed to have an organ transplant. You would die. It was just, they don't allow you to have it. So before, no blood. Now, blood fraction is okay and blood alternatives. I was born in a different country where they do not have such luxury as blood fractions and blood alternatives, just the blood, right? So Jehovah's Witnesses, where I'm from and other places, I've been all over the world, I travel a lot. Jehovah's Witnesses are dying in the thousands all over the world, but you don't know about it. You just think it's just one here, one there, because, oh, and then they're gonna, right? They're gonna be resurrected anyway. You guys don't know this stuff. There are thousands of Jehovah's Witnesses dying around the world because they live in little villages, they live in little third world countries where this is happening, and you guys are totally oblivious to what's happening.
Why do you assume that we're oblivious?
Well, if you're not, then that's even worse. If you're aware of what's happening, that's even worse.
I'm just concerned because you're putting a lot of like obligation, like you're assuming many things about us.
Well, again,
and therefore we haven't assumed one thing about you. So it's just
if you're listening to me, I said for the past decade I've been researching the Watchtower.
But that's fine.
So I would know,
okay.
like I would know current events that you guys don't know about. Like, for example, the Australian Royal...
Why would you say that?
The Australian Royal Commission, the court cases that happened in San Diego. The Watchtower just lost $28 million to somebody who sued them for child abuse. Are you aware of any of this? North Carolina, I can go on and on.
But whether or not I know that, does that make my faith in God stronger? That's what I'm saying.
This
like,
is where this is the logical fallacy
you know
that
what?
all Jehovah's Witnesses. This is the logical
really
fallacy. No. This is the logical fallacy that all of Jehovah's Witnesses have, which is you take the Jehovah, you take the organization, and you intertwine them, and once you do that, you cannot separate them. Okay? And that's the problem all Jehovah's Witnesses have.
I myself
and I
don't
had
want
that
to
too for many
separate
years.
that.
What's that?
I myself don't want to separate from Jehovah.
No. I'm saying the organization and Jehovah in the typical Jehovah's Witness mind is one and the same. And it goes back to indoctrination, you know, it really does. There's a whole psychology behind it. I gotta go. Next time I see you guys, we can carry on the conversation. And I know that just what I've said so far is so overwhelming. You guys will just totally dismiss everything I say. By the end of the day, you probably won't remember a word that I've said.
I'm sure I'll remember it for the rest of my life. I'm sure I'll remember it for the rest of my life.
Good.
I'm sure I will.
You're young and smart. Please, I'm 44 years old.
Really interested in
I know
what
you're
you
not
have to
interested.
say. Yeah,
but
I'm
for
so
your
sorry.
own, listen, we're in the age of technology.
Yeah.
And I know you guys are told, don't believe everything on the internet, you know? But back in 1995, when I was still an active Jehovah's Witness, I was sitting there in the Kingdom Hall. The brother was like, friends, stay away from the internet. They call it the web for a reason because it captures your time. Do not. So it was like a bad thing. And now look, jw.org is plastered everywhere. Just to tell you how they changed. But anyway, I gotta go. Take care, guys.